All right, welcome back, Amigos Family. Today we got something special like we always do. Have we ever said that before? Well, we're going to pull back the curtain on something that probably most of us don't even know that happens at Amigos. Because when you think about clean water, you probably picture pipes going into the ground, the tanks going up, faucets turning on in the community. But honestly, truly, the story doesn't end there. Because behind the scenes, every drop of water that comes through a faucet has to be tested to make sure it's safe and reliable. And that's where our guest comes in today. Brian's someone on our team who runs a water lab right on the Amigos property in Nicaragua, at the Amigos complex. He works to make sure that, basically like when a mom fills up a cup for her child, she can be confident that water's clean. And this is a part of Amigos' story that you may not have heard before, but it's absolutely essential to the whole transformation, to hold the path to transformation for everyone who has access to clean water. So we're going to dive in. We're going to hear from Brian about why water testing matters and how protecting the investment, it protects the investment that all of us are we're all connected to. We've all been around a water system. Many of you have been to Nicaragua specifically to work with a community on a water system. All the hours that you've spent doing that, all the time that you spent sitting with someone at their house, encouraging them or letting them feed you while they were on their journey to clean water, all of that time and stuff matters even more if we can ensure that water is clean forever. So I think that's a good intro for where we're headed today. This is going to be some interesting stuff. I'm sure we'll get sciencey. That's not even a word, but yeah. Brian, thanks for joining us. Danny, why don't you've known Brian for a while. Before we let Brian talk, why don't you give us a little bit of his background so people are a little bit more familiar with this incredible dude we've got here.
Absolutely, Brian. Thanks for being here. Amigos family, I think we probably all know somebody in our lives that when you're around them, you just feel peace. And that's Brian for me. Whenever I'm hanging around Brian, there's just this overwhelming sense of peace. And that comes from his humility, comes from his love for people, his love for his work, for his family. And I am excited to be able to tell Brian just a little bit of your background and introduce you to the Amigos family. You're a humble dude, and I know you won't share some of this, so I'll share it for you. And then you can jump in and give some more of your background and to tell us how you got connected back with Amigos after your first mission trip. So Amigos family, Brian Peters here joining us today. And he is originally from Houston, grew up in Houston, came on a mission trip in 2007 with his high school. And then from there, moved down to Miami, did college and life in Miami, and then jumped over to another coast and went to continue his education in California. Brian, I'm sure we'll get into some of that. And that led him to take some trips to some really cool places. He ended up going to Chile, ended up going to Antarctica of all places. And with all of that knowledge and goodness, he felt on his heart and in his mind that Nicaragua was the place where he wanted to continue his career. So Brian, give us a little bit of who you are, a little bit of your background, and ultimately what nudged you to join the Amigos team and find your way back in Nicaragua.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Danny and Joey. No, super honored, humbled to be with you guys, and very flattering introduction. So we glad to go through some of that. But yes, as you mentioned, grew up in Houston. My mom and dad, my brother still live there. So four of us, big family, and went to Strake Jesuit High School in Houston. Graduated in 2007. So it would have been my junior year that Father Flavio Bravo one of the Jesuit priests at our high school brought us down to Nicaragua, to Amigos. It was the inaugural trip for our high school, and a little bit of an interesting tidbit about the history there. Father Bravo is Nicaraguan. He's from Chinandega. And so he brought us down here. We didn't meet any of his family that trip, but we did stay at Amigos, and we went to work out in Villa Catalina building homes and pit latrines. And it was an experience that left a deep impact on me in so many ways. And so I definitely left that trip, I think, wanting more, but didn't come back down again until 2017. And so kind of what happened between that first trip and my next trip after that in 2017 was, as you said, went to college in Miami at the University of Miami, studied marine science and biology. And when I was there, I really got interested in the chemistry side of oceanography. And so I was lucky enough to get my foot in the door of one of the oceanography labs, chemical oceanography labs there in Miami. And it was just something I fell in love with. I loved being in the lab. I loved the investigative part of it, trying to solve problems. I loved just, learning new instruments to measure nitrate, to measure this parameter, that parameter. And it's just... I
have no idea what you're talking about, but that sounds so awesome.
Everyone will do a quick search on that one.
Yeah. No, it's just, I think that's one of the great things that I really love about science and about research and academia. It's just, I think, it's all about asking questions, and it's just a bottomless pit, really, which can be good and bad. Yeah. But it's something that I really love. I think something I fell in love with. And so, the lady that I was working with in this lab when I was an undergrad, she was the one who encouraged me to apply to graduate schools. And that's how I ended up in California. She had a coworker who was a professor at Stanford. And so she was the one who recommended that I go out and visit her colleague out in California. And so I went out there for a little visit, and we just hit it off. She ended up becoming my PhD advisor, Dr. Karen Cassiati, and just an incredible lady. I mean, amazing scientist, great personal mentor. Is just similar to John Bland in so many ways. Who just she's so present, gives you her full attention. There's people in the world who have a million things to do and still find a way to give you their full attention when you're with them. It's a quality. It really is. So super grateful to run into her and be able to basically be a part of her lab for seven years. And I won't go into too much detail about my my thesis, but as you mentioned, Danny, some of the water samples that we collected were from Antarctica. So we did a trip down there to not quite to the South Pole, but to the dry valleys, which is kind of on the outer perimeter of Antarctica. So not the very center, but it was definitely an experience I'll never forget. Got to see penguins.
Right on.
Got to spend 24 hours of sunlight for a few months, which is pretty crazy.
Everyone who's listening right now was sitting on the edge of their seats. Is like, is he gonna say he saw penguins?
Yeah. It's so funny. I think when I figured out that my advisor, told me, hey, you're going to Antarctica, I think I said something to my dad. I was like, I'm going to Antarctica. The only thing I want is just to be able to see some penguins. And I think my dad said something like, I forgot what he said exactly, but don't get your hopes up or something like that. And sure enough, there was a trip that we went out to this giant penguin colony where we got these samples, and it was just so wild. It was definitely an experience that I'll never forget.
That's cool.
So the went through my PhD, and ended up when I completed my PhD, ended up working in my advisor's lab as a researcher, as a postdoc, really. So working on some other projects, and that was when I was working as a postdoc that I decided to make another trip down to Amigos again. And I think what kind of spurred that desire was a lot of different things going on in my life at the moment. Definitely, probably some, I think there was a little bit of dissatisfaction maybe about the way I was living my life. And there was definitely a little bit of, I think I was feeling a little distance between the some of the research questions that I was asking, or that our lab was asking, and a lot of the research that I was doing personally didn't feel super important or relevant to helping humankind. And so, you're just kind of diving really deep into these research questions that didn't really feel like they had a whole lot of purpose or meaning. And so I think that really kind of got me searching to do something a little bit more meaningful. And so it was in May 2017, Mother's Day weekend, that came down to Nicaragua again, and met you, Danny. I met Scott, and met John, and it was just, I fell in love with it. Scott was really the one who kind of, I think, provided me with the vision, and kind of provided me with the path forward, and what life and work would look like down here. And so I'm just super, super grateful to him, and obviously got to work with him for so many years, and so grateful for that too. But it was that week in 2017 that we did bathrooms in La Gracia. We got to meet Jared Alexander and his family, got to meet you, Danny, and I still remember texting you on my flight back. I was just tears in my eyes, like, all right, I think I'm in.
I remember that too.
Yeah. So many people listening can relate to that exact story. Like, that's amazing. You mentioned, like, you felt like there was maybe like a disconnect, or a little bit of you wanted to have more purpose for the tests and the research that you were doing. And that's exactly, in a lot of ways, that is, you have now when you're doing what you do, which we're about to get into, you have a picture in mind of what's on the end of that. Like, we kind of, whether that's a mom filling up a glass of water for her child, or like, a kid taking a shower for the first time and all that stuff. Like, you have an actual image on the end of that you can connect all this research to. And that makes me think, like, because as Amigos, we strive to be a model organization. We want to be able to replicate all the stuff that we do. And to be able to do that, we got to make sure that it's done really well. We got to make sure that that we know what we're doing. So, like, with water systems, that comes, we always do the same things. We help a community develop leadership, and then there's lots more that goes on with that. And then ditches are always dug. The pipes always go into the ground. Can you explain a little bit from your perspective on your end of things, maybe even during the construction of a water system, and then after, and then, making sure inauguration day is ready, and then everything that comes after that, how you, what you're doing, your research, your testing, plays into the longevity and the sustainability of what we're doing, and into the bigger picture of life transformation that's ultimately going on the other end of all this water. So can you fill us in, like, the gaps that we don't even know are there? Because I think this stuff is really fascinating, and I think folks would really like to hear kind of almost exactly what it is that you do and why that matters,
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. So the first thing that we do when we partner with any community and decide to go forward with a water system is look for a place to drill the well. And so that involves some witchcraft and voodoo that I'm not super familiar with. But once they find
we can cover that in our next episode.
Yeah, no, please do. The place that they find water is we typically what we do is we'll look for a couple different places, and they'll do a couple different tests and then choose one of them to drill the well. And if they drill the well and they find enough water, it's got enough production, then they'll go forward with a water test. And so the first initial water test that we do for a community, we typically send the water sample to a lab in Leon, which is about 40 minutes from here in Shenandoah. It's a lab, I believe it's a private lab called Akisa. And they do really great work. They have some really world-class instruments, and they'll do a complete water sample, testing for heavy metals, testing for all kinds of contaminants that you've probably heard of, lead, mercury, stuff you never want to have in your water, and stuff that we can't measure here at our lab at Amigos. And so typically the first thing we'll do is we'll send that first water sample to them, make sure that it's okay. And if everything checks out, then we'll go forward with the water system. We'll go meet with the community, start getting the work groups together, start digging, and go forward with the water system. And so what happens after that is once the water system's completed, and periodically after that, we will test the water here in the lab. And so really what we do here at Amigos is try and just make sure that the water stays safe. And we don't really want to see any big changes in the water over time, because that typically means that there's something going on, whether it's some other changes in the aquifers or something like that. But that's really what we're doing here. Like you said, Joey, trying to make sure the water's safe to drink and give the families that peace of mind that they can turn on their faucet and the water's gonna be totally fine.
Yeah. So once you test the water there at the beginning, it's kind of, is there like ongoing testing too that goes on while the construction? Because I guess the water's got to pass through different phases and stuff, and then you make sure it's good as it comes out the other end too, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So what we've done in a couple communities recently is actually we will go out and do the first water test and make sure that the conductivity is okay. And so that's just a metric that tells us how much minerals in the water. We'll test the pH. We'll do a couple other basic tests for iron, for other minerals, and that'll kind of just give us an idea of like, okay, can we even hope that this well might have decent water? And so if all those things check out, then we'll go send the lab to Leon. And then once we get those results back, then we move forward with the water system. And once the water system is complete, then we try and test the water here in the lab 4 times a year. So sometimes it ends up being a little bit more than that. Just if there's one reason or another the community wants to test the water. But that's really what we do here in the lab, is the checkup and the follow-up every couple months.
Wow. For every water system we have, or everything that we're involved in, yeah.
Every water system we have, and it's a benefit that we offer to some of the communities that have graduated too. So we do everything free of cost, and I think that's a benefit that we'll continue to provide in the future, because a water test at this professional lab is expensive. I think a basic water test is about $300. So that's a big chunk of money for a CAPS committee or for a water committee to put forward, knowing that there's other priorities and buying tubes, and you gotta have money to pay the electricity bill. So yeah.
So Brian, I know that you have a love and a passion for all the stuff you just described, all the behind the scenes, the numbers and the testing, and really to be able to express to people the water you're drinking is good. and to express that to our team as well. I know you're passionate about that, but I know you're also passionate about getting to know people and caring about people. And, when we think about our water system, there's the piece of all the behind scenes stuff that you're doing regularly. And then there's also week in and week out, our opportunity to host people who are coming on a mission trip to jump in and help with the actual construction of the water system, getting out that pickaxe and getting out that shovel, getting dirty and laying those tubes in the ground. And so I would love to hear from you when you get to meet people, and you've met thousands of people over these years, over the past 8 years, and you played a huge role in hosting them on the mission trip. I would just love to know, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to welcome people from San Jose, California, or Cincinnati, Ohio, or St. Louis, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida, or Houston, Texas, to come and join us on a mission trip?
Oh my gosh. That is just one of the biggest blessings. I don't think I ever would have fully anticipated, but I just really think we're in this privileged position to receive people who are looking for this experience in their life, to experience a new culture, to experience what it's like to live in the shoes of someone who lives in rural Nicaragua and doesn't have clean water. Maybe he's, farming a piece of land, and just to be witness to that and to kind of be the bridge between the people come down here and the people in the communities. And I love it. I love it absolutely. I don't think it'll ever get old, just to be able to meet new people, and everyone just has a unique story. Everyone's walk of life is just so different, so unique. And I really think that maybe just the nature of the trip, or the nature of the work that we do, which sometimes can be pretty intense and physically taxing, but I really think it kind of just opens something in us that, maybe some of the things that are eating us back at home, or some of the things that are really, blocking us from making the next step, start to get released down here. And so I really think anytime we step in the ditch with someone from, like you said, Cincinnati or St. Louis or California, any of our partners, I just think it's a vehicle for being able to take on some really deep conversations. And I just absolutely love that.
Brian, a question that we get a lot, I'm sure you've heard it over and over, is people will join us for a week and say, am I making a difference? Am I making a difference? Does this week matter? What would your response be to anybody who's asked that question, or who might have that question floating around in their head?
Oh my gosh. Without a doubt, every shovelful, every pickaxe makes a huge difference. I mean, I can certainly think of a few occasions recently where I believe it was last year, we went out to Don Sergio's farm in La Picota, and I think we planted some of the turmeric out there. And it was the end of the day, and I don't remember if it was John or someone else was asking him to just say a few words to the group, and I mean, just broke down in tears. I think he was just so grateful for the help.
And that was a day where the volunteers had all gone out to the farm and helped him with something?
Exactly.
All with the turmeric. Oh, wow.
Exactly, yep.
Gave him a hand. They just would have helped out a lot. Okay.
Exactly, yep. It just means so much to the farmers. It means so much to the people in the communities where we'd work on the water systems, the bathrooms. Even just recently, we went out to for the construction of the new building at the Amigos Academy, and some of the workers at the construction site were just shaking everyone's hands and just saying, like, you have no idea how much we get done when you guys come out here. And so, it's pretty crazy what, an extra hand, or 20 or 30 or however many, can make a difference.
Absolutely. Brian, we talk about transformation a lot. We talk about transformation that happens within each of us. We talk about transformation that happens in the communities. transformation that happens on a week-long mission trip. I would love to hear from you. What's a story of transformation that comes to mind that you have witnessed or that you've been a part of over all these years that just provides you hope and that you'd like to share with the Amigos family today?
Oh man, that is a great question. One, I think on a personal level, if I can think of an example, someone that comes to mind is Rigoberto, who is one of the workers on John's farm. And knowing his background, I mean, from very humble beginnings, I think he, for a good chunk of the first 20 or so years of his life, he spent his day just walking cows up and down the volcano, looking for grass, looking for pasture, not really knowing what to do with his life. And I think he got an opportunity to work on the farm and took advantage of it. Certainly someone who was quiet and reserved when I first met him, but just the way he carries himself now, I mean, he's definitely a leader. He's I think he's the first one in his family to go to college. He's a couple of years away from his degree, and he's just a really responsible, mature human being who isn't afraid to try out his English with some of the group members. And just seeing him over the years has been one of the greater joys of my being down here, for sure.
Rigoberto is such a nice dude. Gosh, he's so kind. Every time I've met him and talked to him, and that's been years. And the cool thing about that is, like, you're talking about, like a farm kid who lives up on San Cristobal, helping his family graze cattle. Like, so much potential in that kid growing up, walking those mountains, just dreaming and thinking and dreaming, so that when the opportunity came, that dude, I mean, not only is he kind, he has work ethic that's, it's very admirable. You see him out in the farm, but not only just like killing it with farm work, but like the ideas, like farming is creative. You have to get creative with it. And he's offering all that stuff, was even way back then. I can't imagine where he is now, 2 years left of college, but those stories are endless. You know what I mean?
And to put a face to the name, Rigoberto is also the farmer who is highlighted on the turmeric hot sauce.
That's
so
right.
If anybody's favorite hot sauce is the turmeric one, check him out.
I'll pop that up on the screen for us so we can see it. Brian, thank you for joining us, man. I want to include some things because we've done I think some blogs about, or a blog at least, about the water testing in the lab and things like that. And I want to make sure we include that so people can read more about what it is that you do and actually see what a lab at the Amigos compound looks like. The Amigos complex, like having a lab in there with water from Rancho Pondo in it. That's crazy. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your humble and kind serving heart. We're glad the Amigos family gets to see and hear you in this manner. They all know you from coming down. I know they love hearing from you. But thanks for what you do, man. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joey and Danny. I love you guys. It's an honor to be here, and so blessed and thrilled to be able to have this opportunity.
We're back at y'all.
Thank you. We love you, Amigos family. Thanks for joining us, and we will be back very soon. We got some good stuff coming up all this fall, so stay tuned, and we will be back before you know it. We love you. Bye.